Hey guys, this is Yoda, and this video will be a in-depth VOD review of one of my Throne of the Tides. We recently did a 29 fortified bursting storming. This key is super tight on time, so I decided to play no Sentinel. I had crit wings instead. It's about like 12-ish% more damage. So we'll go over the decisions I made, how to survive all the pulls, blah blah blah, in this video. So we start off with the Roar, tag these two with Judgment. We don't really need to get that much aggro, just one skill each is good, and Judgment starts building our stacks here. But tagging this pack with Shield, ideally, theoretically, Psycho could like face pull this if he wasn't careful, if I pull this mob with Shield. But I think my next global is going to be Consecrate, or soon. Yeah, so I drop Consecrate and Tank Trinket to get like at least some aggro on these. Like, you know, if you have like a Fury Warrior or something, or some other melee in your pug that's just going ham on these, they will die. But you know, that's how you learn. All right, anyway, we move forward, and then I specifically target this Oracle, set to focus, and then use Divine Toll to aggro it. This toll basically hits everything behind me and the Oracle in front, which ensures snap threat on this whole pack because of Tyr's Enforcer. So at this point, if they try to get aggro on this pack, they can't. And it also, since I'm targeting this Oracle, one of the shields targets that, and will interrupt it in. Our group, you know, we don't have VDH, we don't have Boomy, so we're CCing one Oracle to play it later. So basically, that's what the DH is going to do. He CCs it. Now, basically, the way the interrupts work is I'm going to solo Skull. My group's going to be on this one. Also here, I actually overestimated my Tank Trinket. I thought it'd be more than enough. This should have been Ardent here, so I don't dip low. But anyway, we get lucky, we live. I think I have a Wog here. Boom. Insta-topped. Crit Wings is really good, actually, for self-healing because you top yourself with Wog. Obviously not as good as Sentinel because you wouldn't dip that low in the first place, but, you know, we work with what we got. So from here, the pull's pretty easy. He stuns all the mobs with 2-minute breath. We go Ardent and Tyr, I believe, here for damage. Yeah. Once Tyr falls off, we're going to be in a bit of trouble, so I think we send the Goak. Usually it lines up that Tyr and Ardent fall off if you do that in your opener, right when your big Consecrate falls off, so that's like a really good time to Goak. So we send that here. I'm still soloing Skull. Note that one tip you can do during this, so after you Divine Toll, you have Resonance, right? During Resonance, you're pretty much able to solo. If it's just one mob, you can solo it the whole time. You can even like do 2 mobs if you wanted, but it's kind of hard. But for one mob during Resonance, you don't really have to pay too much attention. You can just, you know, target it and it'll get kicked. After Resonance, however, you need to change your priority a bit. So the way it works is I'm using Blessed Hammer a bit more aggressively here. So I shield, right? Now my shield's on cooldown and my kick is on cooldown. So in order to get a proc, I should prioritize Blessed Hammer here. There's kind of a lot going on and I'm like dying, so I might not do this perfectly. But ideally here, I would be prioritizing Blessed Hammer to get my shield back from a Grand Crusader proc to kick this. And obviously here, Goak's falling off and I'm dying, so this should be a bubble. Boom, it's a bubble. Unfortunately, I do not prioritize Blessed Hammer. That's a mistake. That mistake ends up forcing me to use Hodge, but it's fine because, you know, the mob's almost dead. If this mob lived a little bit longer, this mistake probably would have cost me quite a bit. Okay, so we get the Hodge. Hodge makes time for a shield, and then we have Rebuke back, and then the mob is basically dead. After bubble, we kind of have nothing, so we call for Bark. The pack kind of died fast enough that I didn't really need the Bark, but this is where you would use it, like after the bubble, usually. Okay, and then we go forward. Since this Oracle, the reason we pull this Oracle into the next pull also is because like it's kind of free. It's literally just kick, right? There's 4 of us, and I'm a Paladin, and there's nothing else to kick, so it's pretty much free count to pull with this. This Toll is kind of early. I probably should have used Tyr here instead of Toll, just to get aggro, but I think it's fine. From here, we're just kicking the Oracle. Technically, since we can all kick this Oracle, I should probably be like targeting the Ravager, but we're lazy. Definitely a mistake, though. I should probably not do that in the future. Can use Hodge on the Snapdragons here. Also note I use Dwarf, and we have Caught available here too for the bleed. just 2 Snapdragons, like if they live a long time, can cause trouble with the bleed stacks. So trying to let that happen. Once the dogs are dead, it's pretty reasonable to start LOSing this mob. So I'm going to bring her to a line spot. Like right now, she's in the middle of the room. So if you want to LOS, it's really far. It's like not really viable. But I'm going to bring her like right here. And now it should be a lot easier to LOS, especially once I move her a little bit more, hopefully. Yeah, so we're right here. Theoretically, people are going to LOS soon. Yeah, here we go. So just go over here. Then boom, it's the LOS, and they pop out. All right, this mob is kind of boring, so we'll skip the rest of this. Open to high fortified, by the way. Multiple fast forwards just to skip one mob. Going up this elevator, you can't really keep judgment stacks. It's too hard. So pre-Kong, 1 hammer to get aggro on these. Pull this Oracle with shield. So the way our group does this, I solo this Oracle. Everyone else kicks the Witch. I'm a Paladin, so I can solo kick one. And we aggro these since we have 2 minutes up. Come back to the pull. The first Consecrate was kind of just to get aggro. This will be like my real Consecrate that I actually stay in. Yeah, we just solo kick the Oracle. Start with Ardent here, and as soon as I get 5 stacks, I'll probably send the tier. Yeah, we send Tank Trinket, tier, Ardent. Although that tier probably could have waited for a 5-stack Consecrate, but I didn't, so that's unlucky. We do proc the 45-second cheat here, which is fine. Big Conk's falling off, and tier was falling off, so I sent Goak. That's kind of just like the order, right? You go Wings, and then Ardent and tier during Wings into Goak, and then after Goak falls, you can bubble. I don't know why I'm holding bubble for so long. Okay, yeah, I should have bubbled long ago. I like literally lost my whole health bar like twice before bubbling. I should have bubbled way earlier. After bubble, this would be Bark if it's available, but we used Bark to, because we're fighting like Sentinels also hit your allies, so we use Bark on an ally. So we'll get by with just Big Conk, which should be fine. Yeah, so I kind of know, like, this is where I would usually have Bark, but, you know, I have Big Consecrate. But yeah, I'm, like, paying a little bit extra attention to my health bar because I know I'm vulnerable here, as you can see. As soon as Arden's back up, we send it. I probably should have done, like, a different maneuver here. I think I should have kited until Arden was back up, then come back in. But I decided to, like, do the opposite order, which was not ideal. But we lived. Didn't even cheat. Okay, so once we kill one Sentinel, I'm going to pull these 3 to make it easier. Oh, you'll see. I don't know why I'm wasting time there. Oh, yeah, I think my healer said he's in trouble, so I, like, wogged him. So here I'm going to pull this 3-pack. I'm going to LOS in the Witch. I solo Skull. My group's on X, or the other one. So a lot of pugs will do like these 3 plus the back 5. You can definitely do that in lower keys or like tyrannical or like, you know, 35 fortified if you're playing Vengeance Boomy. But for people who don't have 1 minute straight of full interrupts, you can't really pull all this on a high fortified key and be safe. So I decided to chain the Sentinel and just get rid of 3 mobs here. It's pretty simple. I just solo Skull, the rest I'm on X. And then after that, we move on. This also lines up so that we have 2-minute cooldowns into this pull. So it's a mini boss with these 5. Normally this would be a really dangerous pull, but our comp has a lot of burst. That's like one of the best things about it. Basically, once the Snapdragons are dead, it's basically like 1 mini boss plus some kicks, right? Plus a little bit extra tank damage, which should be manageable. So as long as these Snapdragons die in cooldowns, this pull's fine. So we aggro this with shield, then drop Big Consecrate into Toll to get maximum value from tier set on Toll damage. Here I'm a little bit weak. I'm like Big Consecrate only and Tank Trinket against double Snapdragon. So this is like a little bit worrisome, but as long as you're paying super close attention to your health, it's usually okay. Or if you ask your healer for a little bit of health, like I don't think I have that many hots, right? I have like Wild Growth Reju. That doesn't seem that crazy. But I do have Protective Flames, which is good. But in this situation, I would be watching my health, knowing like this is kind of dangerous, and like, you know, finger on the lay on hands button, or pod if it's up, but it's not up. So we get wings back, and then the pull kind of just plays out like the previous ones. I solo the Oracle, team kicks Witch, and the Ravager's doing some damage to allies, but not that much. Send Tier when it's up. I don't think I need to go back here because the dogs are dead, so it's not really that dangerous anymore. Alright, and then we finish off the mob, I'm pretty sure. Yep, next wall's one mob. I drag it to an LOS spot, easy enough. Okay, then we actually go a little bit off book here. Note how I'm like saving Consecrate here. I have like 5 stacks, but I'm not using Consecrate. Oh, this is enough book. This is just so normal. So you'll notice here we don't quite have 2-minute cooldowns up. Meta's in 30, Breast in 20. So we're gonna aggro the 3-pack. And then when the patrol's gonna come close, right? So the trick we do here is we aggro this. By the way, the interrupts here is I have skull groups on X. Purple is like, I also have purple during resonance. After resonance, it's like Hodge, and then kicks are going off or AoE stops. So that's how we do it. So we start on the pack. I try to get by without resonance as long as possible, because I was like trying to hold toll for when we actually pull the dogs, but it's not actually, that's not a good strat because I'll never be able to interrupt everything without toll here. So we landslide the dogs. I think I blinded this into shield, and then I was like, oh shit, I definitely am going to need to use toll soon. My mage actually caught because I like messed up. Okay, so we start walking in, meta and breath are up. I can't break the landslide. This is actually kind of cringe the way I did this. I think the proper way to do this would have been just toll instantly. So these casters would be pretty low, no inerts would go off, and then just walk into this pack with bubble like I did. I eventually like figured it out, but you know, it took me way too long. So then we send our burst, breath, meta, everything. Casters are already half dead because we've been fighting them. On this pull, I see a lot of tanks struggle here. So the 3 resources you have, assuming you're playing Evoker, are Dwarf, Caught, and Bubble. I started off with Bubble, which is like not great, which ends up making me have to kite earlier. The reason I had to bubble earlier is because like since our strat, so I'll go back. Our strat is to landslide these, and then I was like trying to engage them earlier than the landslide broke, but I couldn't toll. Like if I toll, it doesn't hit the landslide knob. So aggro is actually really sus here, which is why I ended up bubbling for aggro. Okay, anyway. So your 3 tools are Bubble, Dwarf, and Cauterize. There's no sense like trying to get Cauterize early just so you can get an extra use because this pull is going to die before it's back up anyway. So these are all like 1-use only skills. So I started with Bubble, so I'm already 1 down. But anyway, we go in. This should be Dwarf pretty soon. Yeah, so it's Dwarf. As soon as you Dwarf, you say, hey, Evoker, you're the next bleed cleanse, so he's ready. I think I'm pretty sure I said that in comms, and then next time I have stacks, I tell him again to use Cauterize. So we Cauterize, then we're kiting, we're out of bleed cleanses, right? We use Dwarf, Bubble's on cooldown, Caught's on cooldown. That's when it's time to kite. If you just stay here and fight with no bleed cleanses, this definitely, even though they're like half, if I stayed here and fight, that's 100% cheat. And maybe death. Probably not death. So we're fleeing. And then here I'm like, okay, it's just 1 dog. Surely I can fight. But I was wrong. I can't fight this dog. This is a Hodge into going to 4 stacks, into running away and spamming heals on myself. So yeah, make sure you're keeping track of your bleed cleanses on this pull. This is really important. Anyway, next pull, pretty much same as all the other ones in this area. I got the Oracle, group has Witch. Sentinel, we have Spell Word available soon, so we can help with healer on the Sentinel. Lay on Hands also available, miraculously. That's probably a mistake, to be honest. I think Lay on Hands probably should have been used earlier than this. So we actually do a little change here. Since cooldowns are coming up, I decided it'd be better. Normally we would play this, then go boss, then play these 3 with the next boss. But I noticed on Fortified, especially with our comp, it's really rough pulling these three with the boss instantly on pull. We actually wiped that last time. So we made the executive decision here to finish off casters and then chain these three into this pull with twos. That way, like, if the casters outlive the burst a little bit, you're not fighting a boss, right? We're just fighting one Sentinel, so it's a lot safer. The other option would have been, like, to not pull this boss insta when we get back here. It would have been, like, fight these casters till they're half, then pull boss. Anyway, so we chain the three casters, blow them up with 2-minute cooldowns. These triple caster packs are, like, so ridiculous for... Like, imagine a Vengeance Boomy fighting this, they just don't even care. They just pull it, like, probably with another pack and just silence it forever. Or they pull it insta on boss and can keep it silenced or gripped forever. So VDH, really feeling the VDH diff here in this dungeon. Okay, we finished that off. We go boss. You'll notice the strategy here. I think pretty much everyone doing high keys knows about this at this point. But the strategy is you have one person on each of these corners here. And you stand in the middle as the tank. That way, when she does the blast, it reflects only on you. So like it hits one person and then it hits you. So as long as they survive one shot, they should live the entire mechanic. So that's formation. We'll skip this a bit. Water Bolt does like no damage and you can kick it anyway. If you're a paladin, you should watch out for Shock Blast. So let's look at this. She's casting Shock Blast. Next mechanic, Focus Tempest. This is when you want to use Sack. I already used Sack earlier, but this is like basically when you're scared. Because the healer has to top from Shock Blast right before Focus Tempest. Anyway, so the ads, I play this ad phase almost the same way every time if possible. So I walk to one caster. You see there's a caster like beneath my bars here. Then I taunt this guy and throw a judgment. Then I target this Frost Witch over here and use Toll. So what that does is I'm already on top of this caster, so everything that comes to me will be stacked on this caster. This Honor Guard, aggro is like kind of an issue. If he gets aggro on someone, he'll kill them. That's why it's taunt. So it's taunt judgment on this guy. And then this witch is tolled in. I could technically shield it, but I used toll that global because all these drudges, like aggro is kind of needed on those too. So yeah, we toll to just get, you know, AoE group room-wide aggro after taunting this guy specifically. So it's taunt, judgment, target this, toll, boom. So now I have everything. I have aggro on everything. One caster's already stacked on. This one's being kicked in to stack on here. One more shield to fully group it. Then, you know, obviously after all my hard work, grouping all the casters here, some noob range is just standing out and this guy jumps out. Unlucky, what can you do? So then I moved him. I think the correct move here was actually just to stay on the casters and when he comes in, he's in. But I decided to run to him and then I keep chasing him around because the casters keep making him jump in the wrong spot. Yeah. Okay, so onward. The rest of the boss is pretty much the same. This section is pretty much the same. Drop Consecrate, target this, taunt, and then toll this guy in. Same thing. Alright, onward. This boss is pretty simple. Once you know the formation and how to group the ads, this boss is really easy. Okay, so this boss... it's also kind of easy, I think. This claw... So, one thing about this claw... the initial hit doesn't hurt that much, but what it does is it makes you take a lot more damage from just his auto. So the actual tank buster or like tank mitigation check is the autos after the claw. Kind of get lucky here, parrying a bit. But I did have like big consecrate, ardent, and tear, so it was fine. Anyway. Okay, this knock. I think as a misplay, he probably should have been. I should have positioned him like closer to this wall so we don't get knocked as far, but whatever. Oozes, you can't really help much on these oozes. You can like throw a shield every now and then, but Paladin's kind of useless. You see our Druid just like catting them away. That's the best solution in my opinion. Alright, then we bait the fissures. Ideally we're baiting like next to these, but I guess I'm being lazy about it, so we didn't do that. Then I drag the boss to the wall for the knock. Yeah, here we go. Surely I play this one properly. Yeah, okay, so we're standing against the coral here, get knocked into the coral, and that's it. All of this boss's skills have different cooldowns, so like the way that Shockwave and Claw line up is always going to be different. This one, I still have the Shockwave Dot and Claw on me, so I'm a little bit scared, but I have Big Consecrate and Ardent. This should be Tank Trinket too. Yeah, so I dip low and Insta Tank Trinket. Wings off cooldown for damage. We'll go back here a bit. So this overlap is actually kind of scary. So it's drop Puddles into Shockwave into Claw. So basically your healer is having to heal up the Shockwave while these are like running at you. So just basically the counterplay is to make sure you run far away if you have to from the blobs. Alright, rest of this boss is pretty simple. Just use a cooldown when he uses Claw. Not much more to it. Okay, now we get down here. So we're going to go to the left here. This pull I see a lot of tanks struggle with. And I kind of struggle sometimes too. So we'll see how I play it. First, Horse. Just throw some skills at this guy. Notice I have Shield of Righteous running, and I Tank Trinket insta running up this, because this guy is like kind of hitting me in the back, which I don't like. And then these mobs are going to hit me when I don't have Consecrate. Ideally, I would like drop Consecrate right now and pull them to me, but fighting on the stairs here is really sus, so I don't do that. So we shield, get to the top, and then as soon as I'm at the top of the stairs, boom, Consecrate. So now we're in Consecrate and safe. Theoretically safe. Notice that I pretty much have no cooldowns running right now. Just Consecrate, Remnants of Tank Trinket, and Shield of Righteous. Fortunately, I get the big Consecrate down before Crush. I do have like a big Wog prepped here. I think I parried the Crush, fortunately. After the first dodge, I think I should have pulled the other big guy, because this pull is technically supposed to have 2 of these Watchers in. So after the pull, I guess I just pull him later. Not ideal here. So we have Wings, drop Consecrate. And we're kind of just fighting this pack with no cooldowns, but we do have Wings, and we do have a Shining Light proc, so if I ever dip low from like a Crush, that's an instant Wog to top myself, basically. So this is Grip. I bubble to stay in here because I know that this bubble is going to overlap with Crush, because they haven't crushed me in a while, so this bubble catches a Crush here. Then also catches, well, it doesn't catch the Suck, but anyway. The next Crush kind of hurts, but like I said, Shining Light is ready, so it's easy. So basically, my point here is that Crit Wings is not quite as good as Sentinel, obviously, in big pulls, but it gives you quite a bit more damage and a higher chance to crit your own heals. So as long as you have a Shining Light proc, you can kind of like watch yourself like, oh, boom, you lose all your health, Shining Light proc, back up. Here we're kind of out of cooldowns. I don't really want to use Goak here, I think. Kind of just like walking out and kiting. This Crush, oh, this is danger. This probably should have been Ardent or Goak here. Oh yeah, it is actually Ardent. So I noticed I had to run out of my Consecrate. And he's crushing me, so I'm not in Consecrate, really dangerous. So I Ardent right before it lands. I guess I parried it, so that's lucky, but I wouldn't have died because I had Ardent. We move into this pack. I noticed that my position was kind of close to these, so I decided to pull with Toll instead of just normal Avenger's Shield. Just for more aggro. There's again Crush into instant heal self. And that's pretty much it for the whole pack. Basically, this pack doesn't really hurt you, and they don't cast Crush that frequently, so ideally you get by like without spamming Wog on yourself, and then right after every Crush, because after the Crush you should dip low, after every Crush you Shining Light Wog yourself, basically. That's how I've been playing this. Try to have something at least running the whole time, like an Ardent or a Tear. But this is not as nearly as dangerous as like the earlier pulls. All right, then these two here. There's 2 of these Seers. As always, I solo one, everyone else on the other one. Okay, Here, I think my healer died. Yeah, my healer died, so this normally I would chain this into the next 6-pack, but healer dead, so you know we're not going to fight that with no healer. So we're kind of just fighting 2 mobs, waiting for him. Once he's back, we pull the mobs. This pack, you want to be spamming AoE stops. You know, as a paladin, you kind of only have blind, but ideally your group is doing stuff to stop all these pulses from going off. You can also single hodge if you see one. But yeah, that's the whole pack. All right, now we get to the Stonespeaker. This boss is really rough for Paladin. I know VDH can kind of just face tank him and ignore the totem, but you know, we can't all be VDHs. So we're fighting him. One thing I wanted to point out here. So notice how I pull him. I'm at 3 stacks, 4 stacks, drop Consecrate, and then I sit on the 5 stacks until he spawns a totem. This is very crucial for this fight. So we're just sitting on 5 stacks, not reconsecrate him. He drops the totem, instant Ardent, because I know he's already buffed. Horse the totem, drop Consecrate, and then face him, and we're good. And we also use Tear. So this is big Consecrate, Wings, and Ardent with Tear. Should be really safe, especially with Lust. And the totem dies instantly anyway. Probably didn't need to use Ardent here, but it's just a safety thing. Because it'll come back up by the time I need it again anyway. All right, next totem. So we're still in Lust. It's really easy to get 5 stacks before the totem. Boom, we're at 5. We do not reconsecrate. We wait for the totem. Totem spawns. As soon as it spawns, instant Goak, horse the totem, drop consecrate. Simple, right? This one's really rough. We're not in Lust. So I kind of expect to take like a lot of damage during this totem and this totem to live a long time. So we use the Wog there. Goak's over, totem's still alive. So I don't really want to commit bubble here, but fortunately I have a tank trinket, which should last me for the rest of this. So we send the tank trinket. Totem dies before my shield runs out. If the totem lived like past this Earth Fury, it would have been really bad, but you know, fortunately it dies in time. Now we're out of Lust, no wings up, so Judgment is going to come. We're not going to have 5 Judgments here for the next totem. We get to 4, he spawns a totem. We have wings. So I think what I ended up doing here is horse the totem with Ardent, drop Consecrate, so we're not tanking with no Consecrate, then Judgment, then reconsecrate. So it's Ardent, yep, horse the totem, drop Consecrate, re-Judgment boss. By the way, this was health pot too, health pot. Re-Judgment boss, consecrate, and now we're chilling. I think I tier next level too. Yeah. And then from here it's Jover, right? Because there's no way he can kill me from here. Because we're set up. We have Ardent, big consecrate tier. Then we fight him for a bit. We get to the next totem. Still don't have 5 stacks. So this one is going to be Bubble. I have no cooldowns left. But unfortunately I have Bubble. We could call Bark here, but Bark is usually not enough by itself for a boss like this that hits you really hard. So it's going to be Bubble, pretty sure. Yes, this is Bubble as soon as the totem spawns. So before we dip low, so you know it's not too hard to heal us up. We already know like we're going to be in trouble. We don't have 5 stacks, no cooldowns up, so it's Bubble insta as soon as the totem spawns. Get to the totem. The totem actually lives longer than our bubble, which is going to happen. So after bubble, we call Bark. It's big consecrate and Bark for like half the totem. You know, if you have like big consecrate Bark only for this totem, that won't be enough, but we only have to play half the totem with it, so it should be okay. We also start off with a Shining Light proc. That was kind of spicy, but you know, we would have lived, I think. Then we bring him here. If we have to play another one, we have Tear and Ardent back from the beginning. He does spawn the totem. We have Tear Ardent, like I said. Tear Ardent, big consecrate. And simple enough. Boom. Okay, so at this point we phased him. This chain actually is omega spicy. Normally you would wait for like 1 more LOS on the boss to do this. But our group had too many cooldowns. We know timer's kind of tight, so we rushed it. Ideally, if you have time, you would like LOS him one more time before doing this. But yeah, no time. So we go straight in. Pull with shield on one, judgment on another, into toll. This actually hurts me like way more than I expected, and I have no idea why. So we pull it all in, we send twos, darkness, AoE stops for the psionic pulses. Then we LOS and come back. I actually have no cooldowns here. This is really dangerous for me. This should have been lay here. I don't know why I didn't lay. It's like being stubborn, trying not to use it. Okay, surely this is lay. Yep. This is actually insane spicy. I have no idea how it got this spicy. But TLDR, you want to pull this like one LOS later, so it should be a lot easier if you do it that way. Okay, we somehow survive. Props to Greg for keeping us all up. Then we go on. The reason, by the way, that we pull those is to avoid this pack right here. In my opinion, these hunters are to be avoided at all costs. They have like throw a spear on an extremely short cooldown. Throw a spear plus swell is usually a GG on anyone it lands on, and they perma do it. So rather than deal with that, I chose to fight the 6 mobs that we just fought with AoE stops on the boss with 2-minute cooldowns. We go on. So now 2 minutes are up. You know, our comp, like I said, no VDH, no Boomy. So this pull is kind of hard. These 6 Alchemages need to die basically before you run out of AoE stops. So we pull it when we have cooldowns coming up. 6 guys with 1 sentry. I start with blind because like my group's kind of like still settling in. Then we toll into like shield slash hodge slash kick into the separate ones. Hopefully by now your group's ready. So we have roar, Chaos Nova into Deep Breath. Ideally, it's not this sequence. I think it should have just been Chaos Nova like way earlier and then Roar Deep Breath. But whatever. We were kind of yellowing it. So stops ended up not being super optimal, but it was good enough. Okay, so blow all cooldowns, kill the pack, use AoE stops. Kill that guy. I pull this sentry. So as a paladin, you're really useful fighting these. You have sack, spell ward, lay on hands, but I used lay on hands on the previous pack, and you have dispel. So we pull these. Oh, you can also like send just Ward of Glory on other people. Here, I'm pretty sure I was like pushing lay on hands, but I didn't have it. So we use spell ward. One benefit also of pulling the mobs this way is that you don't have to walk through like the corruption hoarder or corruption corridor. You're already started like past it, so you just have to pull back. Notice how I'm like perma basically like building holy power and then keeping up shield of righteous. Every shining light pretty much is on an ally here. Also we have dispel, so we kill this. Then we just go with 2. This is like 2 with some corruption, so we know it's a little bit dangerous. Notice how on the first swell we're not blowing sack, we're not blowing too many cooldowns because the corruptions aren't dead yet. Once they die, the pack becomes actually dangerous. So they die. The next one, I'm like, okay, this is going to be dangerous. I'm going to use everything. So I think I like bubble sack the evoker into dispel healer. The lineup actually ended up being pretty good. So like we wouldn't have had that much overlap anyway, but you know, it could easily be different than that. And that's when you know, how you play this is going to get your group through. All right, we finish off these 2. Same time kill, ideally. Then we pull the boss. I'm going to start facing him this way so that the mark spew is away from where the group drops the puddles. Then he does Putrid Roar into ad spawn. Every ad spawn ideally is Big Consecrate into Toll. If you have wings, that's perfect. So my wings just came up. Big Consecrate, wings into Toll to get aggro on everything. Somehow my shield didn't bounce this guy, so I noticed and taunted him. Once they're in, you can just like shield one, then target the other with the resonance proc, and you should have all the interrupts. Obviously, you can just use your actual interrupt, and your group can also interrupt, so shouldn't be too much of an issue. So we drop where the group is going to go with their barrages. So that's every other is basically Big Consecrate Toll. Then, you know, the ones that don't have Big Consecrate Toll are a bit harder. So this one, I actually noticed I have no cooldowns left except Tank Trinket. So we'll be sure to use that. On those, you want to drop big consecrate in the middle. You can walk in the middle of the boss's hitbox, no problem, so do that. Then I think I throw a shield at the far caster, and then look to kick the close caster. But instead, one of my allies, he's going to kick this, it was Psycho. So I just Judgment this, then shield close caster. This consecrate is misplaced, it should have been in the middle of the boss's hitbox, that's why I'm not in it right now. After that, just make sure we're interrupting those, and we're good. Alright, every Merc Spew, obviously make sure you have something. This was tier plus big consecrate. Spawns ads again, still a big consecrate running into toll. Once you toll, they're all grouped for sure. And keep in mind to be using like the middle of the boss's hitbox. Being able to run like straight through the hitbox is way easier than walking around. Then the next one, we have no toll again, but we have bubble, so it's just bubble taunt everything. Interrupt a far guy, interrupt close guy, and they're all in. All right, and that's it. That's how it's done without Sentinel. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to follow, and peace out.